Hello everyone, this is the new series for the Python programmers of the intermediate series. In this tutorial, we're gonna talk about in this tutorial we're gonna talk about the collections module, and in the collections module we have a counter, so we're gonna talk about the counter module too. So first of all, what are the collections module? So collections module basically, they are the extended version of the inbuilt collection modules containers. The inbuilt containers in Python are list, tuple. I'm telling you the important ones: list, tuple, and set, and dictionary. So they are basically the extended module for the collections, inbuilt collections, a container module. So the collections basically, or the container collection basically allows us to access different types of container modules. So counter basically is a new type of container module. So now what is a container module? So container module basically is something that stores different types of data types. Like in this counter module, if it which we are going to study further. So this counter module can store basically different type of data types of such as list, iterable data types such as list, sets, tuple, dictionary, or etc. And yeah, they're gonna store the different type of objects or data types. So now let's talk about the counter module. So counter module basically is the subclass, is the dictionary subclass for counting hashable objects. So like in the previous videos where I showed you some example, the args argument, or the quarks argument, in which we used the dictionary module, in which we give the key, there's a key and there's a value for that key. So that basically is a dictionary module. And in that dictionary, the hash basically the hash value, which is the key value, the value of the key is known as the hash. These hash values basically, they are constant while you do the complex programming or the more advanced programming. So these hash values, they remain constant all over the program, so they don't change basically. So now let's talk about that. What are the advantages for using the counter module? So now let's say that you want to basically, from the name itself, I think it is clear to you that it must be clear to you that counter module are used to basically count the number of hashable objects present in the dictionary subclass. So basically, let's say that there is a particular dictionary present, and now you want to count the value of the key of the hashable objects there, that how many times the hashable objects are present there. So if you're gonna use for loop or any loop, etc., or iterable objects, then it's gonna take a lot of time when compared to the counter module. So the counter module basically, it reduces the number of lines also, and it reduces the time complexity too. So now let's get started with the counter module. So first of all, let's create a variable of counter. So here I've created first of all, we have to just call the counter module. So first of all, we have to import collections. So here I'm going to import collections, and now from collections, import counter. So now we have successfully imported the counter and the collections. So okay, this collections and the counter, they are case sensitive, as you must know, and the collection is they start from basically the small c, but the counter here, it starts with the capital C. So now we'll create a particular list iterable object here. So now let's say that we created a particular iterable object here, and we'll use the keyword counter for creating the object. So object, and now let's say that I'm passing a string here of Satyarth. So I have passed a string here, and now to convert the string, okay, so sorry, now to convert the string, what we have to do is to convert the string into a dictionary. We'll basically just call the counter class, counter module. We have called this counter module here, and it has converted this string into a dictionary, into a dictionary subclass. And now if we print this dictionary, so let's say that I'm gonna print here this C, and yes, so now you can see here guys that in the output it's showing me this how many number of times this each alphabet is present in this particular string Satyarth. So this A is present into A is present 2 times, T is present 2 times, S is present 1, Y, R, and H. So it is basically showing the values of each alphabet. So yes, and if you notice guys that this is a string, and this A, T, S, Y, and these alphabets, they are basically my key, and this and the hash value is 2, and the hash value is 2. So you can say that this alphabets, they are basically my hash, and the hash value is this 2, this numeric values, which is 2, 2, 1, 1, and 1, 1, 1. So these are my hash and hash values, or you can say the key and the values. So this is a string. So that's how you count the number of hash values, number of hash present in a particular string or in a dictionary of a dictionary. So now let's move on with some more new examples. So now this is only one type of example. Now let's create another string here, and I'll call again the counter, and this time I'm gonna create a dictionary over here. So I'll give the value, let's say the value of A. Okay, I'm gonna pause here, and I'm gonna create a dictionary here. Okay, so now here I've created a few counter variables here. Let me just give some space here. So this was the first one which I showed you, and now here you can see that I've created a variable T, and I've given a counter, and now here guys I've created a dictionary over here. So you can also create a counter like this also. So and you can see that I've provided some key here, A, B, and C, and their values, which is 2, 1, and 4. So what I'm providing is here that I'm providing that how many number of times the hash value or the value the counter is present for each of the alphabets over here. So that's what I'm showing in this dictionary, and that's what this counter is converting this dictionary into. So basically this is my simple dictionary over here, and now when I call the counter module over here, so it will basically count the hash values for each of the hash present in the dictionary. And similarly over here guys, you can see there's I've done some ironically thing here, that I have given the values for a whole string or the whole category over here. That for the dogs category the value is 2, and the cats category is the value is 3. So this type of value is also converted into the counter value. So when I'll call this value count over here for this variable, so what it will do is it will basically just count the number of times the value of dogs is present and the value number of cat is present. And similarly over here guys, in the F variable I have created a counter, I've created a list over here. You can see that I've created a list over here, and in this list I've basically given some iterable values over here. Like I've given some values of A, B, A, C, B, and C. So now if I'll call the value for the counter module over here, so it will basically count the number of values, and it will just print the result. So if I just call them one by one, so now you'll see. So let me just first call this D variable over here. So if I print this, then you can see that okay, just let me just start it from beginning. Okay, so now you can see that in this D variable, it's basically showing me the value of C is 4, A is 2, and B is 1. So here I have given just basically the random values over here, like for A it's 2, B is 1, and C is 4. But when it is printing the value of D, so it is basically showing me in the ascending order over here, which is good, because in the when you do programming in Python using this counter variables, using this counter module and the collection module, so this hash this dictionary is good for you. You have to just basically define the values moving from ascending order for the dictionary. And now guys, let me just call over here only. Let me just print the value of E. So if I run it, okay, so if I run it, then you can see that the value of cat is 2 and the value of dog is 2. Sorry, the value of cats is 3 and the value of dogs is 2, and which was obviously clear over here. And you can see that whenever I'm calling this counter over here, so here I've guys just simply I've created given the value for dogs and cats, and I haven't created any dictionary over here. And similarly over here also, and for my C variable, I haven't created a dictionary or anything else. I've just given a value of string. And whenever I'm calling the counter, whenever I'm calling the counter here, then it's automatically converting it into a dictionary subclass. So that's the point you have to notice. So it can be asked in your programming quiz also, that what type of the counter you subclass uses. So you can see the dictionary subclass. So now let me just call this f variable over here. So if I print it, then you can see that this list has been converted into a dictionary subclass, and now the value of each and every alphabet is basically showing me over here. Like the value for 3 is 2. If I count it here, the 3, a value of A is 3, and then if I count it here, then A 1 2 3, the A is present 3 times, B is present 2 times, C is also present 2 times. So that's how you create the counter. So now let's move further with some of the more functions used in the counter. So now let's say guys, that basically you want to create let's say an empty counter, so which I must have told you before. So now let's say you have to create an empty counter. So you can create it like this, that you can call a variable. Let me just remove this examples. Okay, so now for creating an empty counter, you have to just call collections dot counter. And now if you basically print this collection, this newly created counter, so it basically it will show you the data type. Okay, so now you can see that here I have my empty counter has been created, an empty counter. And now let's say that you want to basically update the values present in this counter. So currently this counter contains null value. So now let's say that you want to give some value in this counter. So you can the function name is update function. So you can use it like this, a dot, you have to just basically call the variable or something or the name of the counter, a dot update. And now in this update in the parameter, you can just basically provide any of the value you want. You can provide a simple string, or basically you can also create a dictionary like this. You can create a dictionary too if you want, like this, which goes something like this. You can give the value for Satyarth is 3, which means that the Satyarth is present three times, and something like that. So here I am creating a simple giving a simple string. And now let me just print this value over here. If I print the value of A, so what is happening here guys, this line, in the first line I have created an empty counter, and in the second line I have just basically updated my empty counter value with the value of Satyarth, which is a simple string, and in the third value I am just printing the counter. So if I run it, So okay, you can see that this counter value called a counter module has successfully counted the number of values, a number of alphabets present in my string: a 2 times, t 2 times, s 1 time, y 1 time, r 1 time, and h 1 time. So that what basically a counter do. And so that was the example of the update function. And now let's move further with some more functions. So now let's say guys that okay, if I'm pausing this video, I have to just and I'll create some counter here. Okay, so now here guys, you can see that I've created some 3 counters, C, D and E. In the first counter I've just basically given a list value, and in the second counter, D counter, I've given a dictionary value, and in the third counter I've just given basically a simple string code initiators. And so now guys, the second function also used in the counter with counter is the dot elements function. So what does dot elements function do? So dot element basically it doesn't count the number of alphabets, but it just basically shows you the alphabets present in the particular counter, or sorry, not in the counter but in the created let it be a string, dictionary, or in the list or tuple or anything. So let me just call it. So if I say that print, and if I just basically call this list, I'm using this we have to use this list or any other iterable objects, because without that it will show you the none type error. So remember that, always use a list if you are directly printing it, or you can also use something like this also, that if you do not want to print it directly, that e dot elements and then something like that, you can use that. If you do not want to print it directly. Here I'm printing it directly, so I have to give iterable module 2, which I'm using here is list. So now in the list I'll say that e dot elements, and if I use that function and if I print it, you can see that it is showing me that what are the elements present in this code initiative string, which looks like something like this. And now if let's use this dot element function with another counter, let's say D counter, and if I print it, okay, then also you can see that the value for A was 3, so it's printing me the A 3 times, then B 2 times, and C 1 time, and it will go same for the C counter too. So if I do this, and you can see that this is my C counter, which is printing as it is. And now let's move further with another function, which is the most common function. So most common function, basically from the name it must be clear that it basically shows you the topmost elements present in the string or in the counter. So let's say that I want to print the most common. So if I say something like this, list, and then what I do is basically just call, let's say that I call this most common for the E counter. So I'll say most underscore common, and if I say that what are the topmost common, what are the 5 topmost column elements present in this code initiatives counter. So if I print it, then you can see that I is present 4 times. It's showing me the in ascending order, basically according to my priority, that I is present 4 times, E is present 2 times, then T is 2, then C is 1, and 0 is 1, O is 1. So these are my top 5 most common elements. And if I say that let's show me the top 3 most common element, and if I print it, then you can see that it will show me the top 3 most common elements present in the counter. You can also use this with another, if I'm using with T. So if I'm printing it, then you can see that it's showing me the top most elements present in the counter. So now guys, you must know that what is basically the use of counter. So counter basically counts the number of elements present in the given collection module as what are the collection modules input, and it basically shows you the result. And if you will use the initial for loop, traditional for loop, etc., so you have to just basically first you have to read, like let's say that I'm creating a variable over here which goes like name is equals to something like this, which is Satyarth, and then after that I'm using the for x in name, and then I have to count it, then I have to print a number of elements present on those lists. So counter basically it reduces all those number of lines for you, and it basically do that counting thing for you in within one or two line. So that was the counter. So now let's move further with the counter. So in the counter module, there's also something called as subtract function. So subtract function, so what basic I'll show you the from the subtract function. Let me just create another counter for you similar to this dictionary, because for the subtraction and addition you have to just basically have the same number of data type. So I'll just give this, and let me just change the value for let me just create some more counter for you. Okay, so now guys, you can see that I've created two counters, C1 and C2, and in the C1 it has basically values which goes like A1, B minus 2, C5, D0, and in the second counter you can see A3, B2, and C1. So now let's see that first let me just print these for you, I guess, to make you sure that it is working. This, so yeah, here it goes guys. So it's something like this. So now let's call the subtract function. So for the subtract function you have to just basically call the initial or the first greater or something which you can see that let's say that I want to subtract the counter values from C1, counter values of C2 from C1. So I'll say that C1 dot subtract, and in the parameter I'll give the value for C2. And now if I print it, if I print the value of C1, so it will now show me the updated counter value for the C1, which goes like this. Okay, so you can check it here also guys, like I'm subtracting here, like okay, for C it's showing me 4, you can check it here, 5 minus 1 4, and for D it's 0 because the initial value was 0, and for the A it's minus 2 because from 1 minus 3 is equals to minus 2, and for B is minus 4 because minus 2, then minus 2 is minus 4. So that was the subtract function for you. So you can basically use the subtract function to just basically subtract the module, subtract the counter values. So now there is something more guys, which goes like the addition counter and the subtraction counter by the mathematical operation. So let's say like this. First let me just okay, let me check the time. Oh, okay guys, it's a lot of time, but it's the last thing, so just stay with me. So I'll subtract the C1 minus C2. Let me just copy it, and now C1 plus C2, and now this one's guys, I'll just do the union between the two counter, which goes like C1 and C2. So it will show me the union value. Union value, you must know that it's basically the highest values. It will combine the both counter and show me the highest values for both of the counters. So, and the intersection value, which goes like this, which goes like this. Okay, so this is my intersection. The intersection means the most common values from the both counter. So if I print it, then you can see for addition, for subtraction, it's showing me the C4. It's the value of C is 4. which goes like yes, okay, it's correct. And for rest of all, it's not showing me the value in the subtraction column, because it's not showing me the value because in the subtraction and the addition too, it will not show you the values which are less or equal to 0. This is what the mathematical operation in counter does. It will not show you the values, counter values, but below or is equals to 0. And for the addition, you can see that C value is 4, which 6. Yes, it's correct. And for A it's 4, which is also correct. And for both of us, both for B and D, it's 0, because -2 plus 2 is 0 and D is 0, so it will not show you the value. And for the union thing, it will show you the value of A1 and C1. Okay, which okay guys, there's a mistake, that this and it is not the union. I was wrong. This and it is not the union, it is basically intersection. So I'll just basically comment this out. I forgot I just forgot the symbols, and this is union. Okay, I'm really sorry guys, I'm really sorry. And so this was the result for intersection and union. So for intersection guys, you can see that it's showing me the value of A1 and C1, because these are only the most common elements present over in both the counters. And for union, it'll show you the value of C5. Yes, C is equals to 5, yes, which is correct. The maximum value of C is 5, and for A is 3, maximum value is 3, and B is 2. And for all of them, for D, it will not show you the value because the value is 0, and it will not show you. So that's it for the counter module guys. So in the next tutorial, we're gonna cover more about the collections module, which is very important for you guys. So if you like this video, then please do subscribe to Code Initiatives and share with your geeky friends, programmer friends. Till then, goodbye, take care, and keep coding.